Hello everyone, it's Jama Malmy. Welcome to the final part of my Killikit series. This is the last piece of paper I have. I'm going to cut it right down the middle and use it on either side of this 2-page layout. And it is going to frame in these photos of my daughter and all of the red in her T-ball team photos. And so I felt like I didn't need a whole lot of red because there's so much red in the layout. And there's a lot of white space here that is going to really help those photos shine. We're just going to enhance it a little bit. So I'm backing each of the photos in some white cardstock. I did a double mat for the 4x6 photos. And then I had this black and white star paper in my stash. This is from the Boo Crew paper pack, which was from this past Halloween. It is still available on my website. And I thought that that looked super cute behind the white mats of the photos. And I really like the black and white with pop of red look that we're going with this layout. This layout actually ended up being my favorite out of this whole series, out of the 7 layouts that I did. So I saved the best for last. I am showing all of the layouts again at the end of this video, so be sure to stay tuned for that to see close-ups of each one. And I'll link the playlist at the end as well, and also in the description of the video down below. So I had found this stamp set in my stash. This is an older Close to My Heart set, and I really liked all of the stars in it. And I decided to go with the star theme because I've got the star paper. I found this cute stamp set, and I'm going to use this star border to line along that glitter paper, just add a little bit of interest. Stamping on layouts is so fun, and this is a great way to add some stamping to your layout when you have a white background and just want to add a little bit of interest. I'm using archival black ink. This is the black I prefer to use. It does stain your stamps, even when you clean them. They're still going to be clear and clean, but it does stain them a little bit. But what I prefer about it is that it's a really dark, vivid black, which hopefully you'll be able to see as I stamp it. I'm first going to make sure everything is nice and lined up, and I'm using the Versamat to make sure that those things are straight. And then when I press it down, I'm going to hold it just for a moment so that there's a little bit of time for the ink to soak into the paper. The archival black tends to be not as juicy as a regular dye ink, so I like to give it just that extra little bit of time to soak in. This is a good idea to do even with a dye ink though, just to give the paper that time to soak up the ink. You may have noticed I didn't get a perfect impression on my first stamp. That's okay because the photos are going to cover that. And I could have filled it in with a black journaling pen or something like that if I needed to. So now I'm going to line up my title, and I'm using a ruler. A T-square ruler would work even better here, and it's nice because the Versamat will catch the edge of the T-square, but I was crafting at a friend's house and didn't have mine, so I just used a regular ruler, and I still used the Versamat to make sure that it was straight. Now I'm pulling in this star cluster thin cut. I love this thin cut, probably because I love stars, but I think it's just a great design because it's designed to use on slimline cards. But as you'll see, I'm going to use it in a much different way. Obviously, I'm using it on a scrapbook page, so it's not on a card, and I'm thinking I'm going to keep it intact and put it here, but I thought it was too linear. I've already got the up and down lines. I've even sort of got some horizontal lines from the bottom of the photo mats. So what I decided to do is cut this apart and create little star clusters out of it. And as I'm cutting, I'm trying to keep the points of these stars so that they still look like pointed stars. And that way they'll be more usable in my clusters as I layer them around. Some of the stars are not going to be perfect star shapes, but you'll see how we will address that. Now I had some other softball stickers that I got at some other craft store. I forget where. I probably bought them for this layout in mind. I've had these photos for a couple of years. And so I'm going to mix those around the clusters as well, and I'm going to create a visual triangle with my clusters. So I'm creating 3 star clusters out of this die. And by the way, this die is still available as well. So there is my second cluster. And this little softball sticker here is actually, I think I got that at Hobby Lobby, I'm pretty sure. And it was sort of translucent and thin. So I wanted to give it a little bit more weight and not make it see-through. So I just put it on some white cardstock and cut around it. It's real easy to cut around the basic circle shape. So I just did that and then treated it as a little die cut or ephemera piece. And it looks really cute in that little cluster there, my main cluster. And then I also found these star sequins in my stash. They are from the Stars and Sparklers collection that was from earlier this year. And I believe those are still available as well. And they just worked really well with this star theme that I have going. So this last star cluster, I thought I would just keep them all together and use them over in that other cluster, but I thought there were too many stars. So I decided to cut that down to be smaller. And that kind of cuts off some of the stars and allows me, or cuts off that one bottom star and allows me to layer this up so that some of the stars are tucked back behind and some of them are over the photo. So I really like that look, how it's kind of tucked under and over. And then even though that piece, that star piece that I cut off is not a full star, I'm going to tuck it under some photos in a little bit, or tuck it under a photo and still use it, and you still get the look that it is a star. So don't throw away any of the pieces from this die. It's a really great die that is just so useful. You can use it for cards or scrapbook pages. You can use the negative space and the positive space, and I just think that it's a really great value. You get so much out of that one cut. So adding some more sequins, and you can see that I'm also adding some of the glitter pieces that came out from the middle of those stars. I'm going to fuss with this cluster just a little bit more. And then I'll start adding some of those inside pieces of the stars kind of tucked around. Now this cluster over here on the right, I'm treating that whole 3x4 photo kind of as one big cluster. I have just a little bit below the photo and most of that cluster is above, but that's kind of creating one big cluster and finishing off my visual triangle. As you can see, I've got that one little tiny piece of the stars that I had cut off from that third cluster that I'm going to tuck under some photos to make it look like it's a full star sticking out, using every last piece of those thin cuts. So I'm gonna just kind of play around with it until I like the placement of it. Added a few more around the page, and this is the finished look at that cluster. I added some little gems as well throughout the page. And then I also added that little jersey stamp down below, and I stamped it in red to match the girls' shirts, and I put my daughter's number 11, and this is the stamp that it is from, this sports stamp, and then it's got the little letters or numbers as well. I don't think it's available anymore, but I will link to it if it is. And this is all that's left from this kit. I also made a few cards before doing this layout, and I will show those in just a moment after I show you some close-ups of this layout. And I'm going to go through all of the layouts that I created using this kit. So here is layout 1, and remember this kit is from the Sweet Safari Scrapbooking Workshop, and the idea behind this kit is that Close to My Heart has designed 3 two-page layouts and created a guide for it. I followed the guide loosely, but I made changes to suit my photos and my style. I changed up some things, so that was layout 1. This is layout 2 from the guide. Again, followed it pretty closely, but made my own changes. We did some Distress Oxide ink blending behind some embellishments. This kind of ombre paper. I saved some extra of that paper that I was able to use on some layouts on a layout you'll see in a moment. I love the stickers in this kit, how they have that glossy UV coating. This is layout 3, the third and final layout from the kit that was designed for the kit. I added a flip flap and I added this 4x6 Pocket Plus insert to add more photos to this layout. These zigzags were die cuts from the kit that I just popped out. The leaves were as well. I cut at the safari park with my Cricut. And then here is a closer look at some of the other stickers, as well as that flip flap. This is a 3x4 flip flap, but it comes in lots of different sizes. It's really easy to apply, and it is shown in that video. Now this is layout number 4, which is now after I've completed the layout design for the kit and using up all of my leftovers. I printed 20 photos. I actually printed 5 photos that translated to 20. So I collaged 4 photos per 4x6 print and then cut them down to add 20 photos to this layout. That was a really fun layout. Now this is layout number 5. We did some Distress Oxide ink smushing, some more glossy spray splatters, and used mixed media to fill that space and just a few little tiny strips that I had left over from the kit. And then in this one, we added more strips left over from the kit. I found this Sunshine title from my stash and then added a little bit of wood grain paper to match it. And that was another fun layout. And then in this layout from today, that finished off the kit. It was layout number 7. And these are the cards I created just before creating the last layout. So I used the red and white polka dots on those 2 Christmas cards. And then these are some great ways to use up little tiny scraps on these cards. Just pair them with a stamped image. Now here is all I have left of this kit, that little piece and a sticker, which I will save for another layout. I think this kit is pretty much killed. I hope you guys enjoyed this series, and I'd love to hear what you think about this layout and the others. Let me know in the comments below. I love reading what you guys have to say. If you did enjoy this, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more scrapbooking videos. I'm pretty sure I'll do another Kill a Kit because this was a really fun challenge. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.